Welcome to our deep dive. Today, we're jumping straight into a whole stack of recent updates about urban life, development, and what's happening community-wise in Montreal and Greater Montreal.
Yeah, we're looking specifically at posts from Infodrone just from the first couple of weeks of June 2025, so
Yeah.
June 1st to the 14th. It's like a quick snapshot, really, through their particular lens.
Exactly. And our goal here is pretty simple. Take the snapshot, unpack it, figure out the key insights, and just see what it tells us about how the city's evolving, right now, based only on this material.
There's quite a mix. Big infrastructure stuff, planning shifts, but also like really local neighborhood projects, too.
So let's start with the big picture, the planning side of things mentioned in these updates.
Right. The main one that comes up is Montreal's big plan, the Urban Planning and Mobility Plan 2050. PUM 2050, they call it.
Yes, the city's long-term vision. And the core idea highlighted here seems to be this gentle and sustainable densification. Sounds ambitious.
It is. The plan talks about creating over 200,000 new homes, residential units.
200,000. Wow. And mainly in the central areas, is that right?
That's what the material indicates, yeah. Places like Plateau Mont-Royal, Rosemont, Villeray are mentioned. But it's not just a plan on paper. You can see hints of this densification push in some of the broader trends captured in the same updates.
Okay, like what?
Well, there's talk about a really significant shift in housing starts across Greater Montreal, especially noted in the Longueuil area.
A shift, how?
The data cited, it's from the Greater Montreal Observatory, apparently shows that 81% of housing starts in 2024 are rental units.
81% rentals.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yeah. Compare that to just 12% back in 2012. Well, it's a huge change in the real estate market. It really tells you something about who's building, maybe who gets to live where going forward.
That's fascinating. And this material also points to another angle on the housing situation, right? Alongside this huge swing to rentals.
Exactly. Housing cooperatives. They're mentioned across Greater Montreal.
And these are presented as, what, sustainable and inclusive options?
Right. Offering affordable rents, but also, crucially, participatory governance. So the residents actually have a say in how things are run.
Seems like they're seen as important for the social fabric. How widespread are they, according to these updates?
There are several hundred mentioned across Greater Montreal, housing thousands.
Yeah.
Examples in Plateau, Rosemont, Verdun are kind of held up as models.
So even in just 2 weeks of updates, you get the high-level city plan, this massive market shift towards rentals, and then the sort of parallel track of community-led co-ops. Interesting mix.
It really is.
Okay, so let's move from that sort of overarching planning view. What about specific big projects? Any major investments highlighted?
Definitely. A really big one mentioned is the plan for Taschereau Boulevard. That's a joint project, Longo and Brossard.
Taschereau. That's a major undertaking, isn't it?
Huge. They mentioned a $500 million price tag. The idea is to transform it into what they call multifunctional artery.
Multifunctional, so not just for cars.
Exactly. The details include things like a rapid bus service, SRB,
Yeah.
with dedicated lanes to speed up transit, plus bike paths, more green spaces.
And it connects back to housing, too.
Yeah, explicitly. This whole revamp is meant to pave the way for creating 30,000 new housing units along that corridor. So growth tied directly to better transit.
Makes sense. Any other transit-linked developments popping up in these sources?
Yes. Kirkland is mentioned. There's a proposed regulatory change, a draft bylaw, basically to align local rules with the wider agglomeration plan.
And the reason?
It's specifically focused on restructuring and guiding development around the future REM station they're getting out there.
Right, the REM-M, another big transit project acting as a development catalyst.
Exactly. And then shifting back downtown, the old Hudson's Bay building on St. Catherine gets a mention.
Oh, the big department store. What's the update there?
Seems like it's getting a lot of attention from real estate developers. It's seen as a really prime spot for downtown revitalization.
Makes sense. It's such an iconic building. Mixed use, I imagine.
That's the idea highlighted. Retail, maybe offices, residences. It's described as a heritage gem, and apparently developers are already kind of positioning themselves to potentially acquire it. Shows how existing landmarks fit into the future picture, too.
Okay, so we've got the big plans, the major projects. Let's maybe drill down a bit more now. What about investments happening right at the neighborhood level?
Yeah, there's a good example in Hochelaga Maisonneuve. A $36 million investment is noted, coming from the city and the borough.
$36 million. For what, specifically?
It's targeted at revitalizing two key local spots, the Pierre Lorange Pool and the Hochelaga Library. So, direct investment in community infrastructure people use every day.
Nice. What else?
Over in Rosemont La Petite Patrie, The updates highlight the completion of the Le Beaubien redevelopment.
Right, I saw that one. About $8.6 million. Sounds like quite a makeover.
Yeah, they took a commercial stretch of Beaubien East between 38th and 41st Avenues and basically turned it into a public space, described as green, welcoming, resilient.
What does that look like on the ground?
Things like wider sidewalks, these sponge curb extensions, designed to soak up rainwater and have plantings. They put in dozens of trees, thousands of plants, created little public squares, a gathering space. It's a whole redesign focused on people and environment.
Interesting. And then there's Rue Saint-Denis. The updates mention its recovery.
Yeah, that street has had a rough few years with construction work, the pandemic. The material suggests it's really bouncing back now, regaining vitality.
And what's driving that, according to these posts?
Two main things are credited: finishing the disruptive construction work, finally, and also putting in the express bike network, the REV.
Ah, the protected bike lanes. And is it working?
Apparently, merchants are seeing more foot traffic, economic activities picking up. They cite commercial occupancy hitting 86%, a concrete sign of that recovery. So yeah, it seems like infrastructure changes can really help a street turn a corner.
Okay, good to hear. Let's maybe shift focus slightly again. What about projects aimed squarely at community life or greening the city?
Well, on a lighter note, the return of the public pianos across Montreal is mentioned.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
They've been around since 2012, haven't they? They do add a certain something to the neighborhoods.
For sure. Fostering connections, just making public space more pleasant. The update says 146 of them are coming back this June, all nicely decorated. Simple idea, but effective.
Definitely. What about more structured green initiatives?
Verdun gets highlighted for its efforts there. Two main projects mentioned for this year: developing new green alleys and also doing targeted sidewalk repairs.
Green alleys. Tell me more. How do those work?
They sound pretty neat.
Yeah.
Described as urban oases. Apparently they're designed working with residents, which is cool. They're in the consultation phase right now.
And what goes into them?
Adding things like shrubs, climbing plants, trees, maybe some benches or other furniture. The goal is sort of multi-layered: boost biodiversity, help cool the area down, fight those urban heat islands, and also just build community by creating these shared pleasant spaces.
Sounds great. Is it a big program in Verdun?
The numbers are quite impressive, actually. The updates say over 18 green alleys have been created since the program started back in 2009. That involves planting over 245 trees and more than 7,000 plants. So it adds up over time.
Wow, yeah. Any other community projects?
There's a specific art project mentioned: a mural for Notre Dame de Lourdes School on Fifth Avenue.
Oh, nice. Who's behind that?
It's a team effort between the school's parent organization, the OPP, and the MU Arts organization. They're fundraising to get a big, colorful mural put up on the wall facing the schoolyard.
So turning a plain wall into something inspiring for the kids.
Exactly. Transforming that concrete space. And then there's a mention of an educational green project, too, the Pollinator Path in Mile End.
Pollinator Path.
Yeah, organized by Aid to School. The idea is to teach students, and the community really, about why bees and pollination are so important.
It's interesting how these updates cover such a range, from huge city plans down to school projects and even basic city management stuff.
Right, like cleanliness in the Saint Laurent borough is mentioned.
Yeah.
It's held up as a kind of model, actually. They note a significant drop in landfill waste there.
And how did they achieve that?
It's attributed to a strategy they put in place, like over 20 years ago. Consistent effort.
What kind of strategy?
The components listed are things like organic waste collection, spacing out regular garbage pickups, presumably to encourage sorting and using smart bins. It just shows how those operational details run consistently can make a real environmental difference at the borough level.
Good point. Okay, anything else major from this 2-week snapshot?
Well, the updates also made sure to touch on arts and culture.
Right, like the Mural Festival.
Exactly. The big one on Saint Laurent Boulevard, La Main. It mentions this is the 13th edition.
Always a big event.
For sure.
Yeah.
The material talks about how the street really comes alive, highlights the program, local and international muralists, live shows, exhibitions, competitions.
Sounds vibrant.
Yeah, it's described as promising to, buildly and creatively transform La Main, again, reinforcing its cultural identity.
So quite a range then, covered in just those 2 weeks of updates from Infodrone.
Absolutely. We've gone from citywide plans for hundreds of thousands of homes, massive transit projects like Taschereau, the future of landmark buildings,
Right down to neighborhood pools and libraries getting upgrades, specific street redesigns like Le Beaubien, these hyper-local green alleys designed with residents.
Plus schoolyard murals, educational projects, long-term cleanliness strategies, and major arts festivals. It really is a snapshot.
And important to remember, like you said, this is only drawing from that specific set of posts, June 1st to 14th, 2025.
Exactly, just one window into what's happening.
So given this particular snapshot, you've got the big picture planning for densification happening alongside these very specific neighborhood greening efforts, community art, cultural events. What does this collection of updates suggest to you about how change actually unfolds in a city? And how do all these different scales of activity, from the huge plan down to the local mural, actually connect in shaping Montreal's future?
Yeah, that's the interesting question, isn't it? How it all fits together.
Something for you to think about as you process this deep dive into the source material.